Thank you all for taking the time to come here. This is the third of our community conversations. We've had 2 events so far. The idea is to bring the people who are our subject matter experts, our department heads, along with the elected officials, out of the office and bringing information directly to you.
Welcome, everyone. We're gonna try to make water and sewer a little bit interesting. So hopefully you learned something. So how do we serve Clinton Township residents? Well, we have approximately 28,500 customers that we serve. We have 435 miles of water main. That is approximately, if you put pipe against pipe, end against end, it is from Detroit, or Clinton Township actually, to New York City. Sewer lines, we have 350 miles of sanitary sewer lines, which is approximately from Clinton Township to Louisville.
I wanted to say too, is when we were putting this together for a visual, it's just seeing the amount of mains. But of course, those mains are also thousands of hydrants and valves that we also maintain with approximately 26 utility workers. So just the enormity of the system and how much that we do maintain, it's not, I don't think can equate to a slide. But we try to do it our best with the distance to the cities.
So part 1, we're going to talk about water first. We purchase our water. We do not do our own treatment. We don't have our own well. Some places, some communities do. We actually get our water from the Great Lakes Water Authority, otherwise formerly known as Detroit Sewer and Water Department. And there are sections in the township that we actually get water from the city of Mount Clemens. Our testing of our water to make sure that it's safe and reliable is in partnership with GLEWA and Mount Clemens. And then anything you want to know about our water, by state law, we have to we put out what's called our annual drinking water quality report. That comes out in July every year, and that report is available online. And then this July we'll have a new one that comes out. And you can look back at past history. We have all of them up there, so you can look back on it. But that's kind of the science behind it. So I'm not going to get into all that, but it's there if you want to be able to see it. So what do we do for you? What is our responsibilities? Well, we maintain and replace our water meters. We maintain evaluations of our water lines. We repair water main breaks. Hopefully none of you have had those this winter. We've had quite a few just because of how cold it was, but not like we did back 10 years ago. So that's a good thing. We run our cross connections and backflow inspection. And then we also do what's called our complete distribution system materials inventory. Some of you may have seen this. This is a result of the issue that happened in Flint and making sure that we don't have lead water lines. So this is to make sure that if we do, that we replace them.
And some of you here today, and being that it's on tape, may have gotten a letter from us and saying that, hey, we need your help. Please use this QR code or call us to make an appointment. So if anyone's concerned or has any questions, you can call us, the department, and we can walk you through how to take a survey. We also accept emails or meter appointments as well.
So here are some homeowner responsibilities that you may or may not think about or know about. Your responsibilities involves leaks and high usage. We can't monitor every home. We have 28,500 accounts, so we can't monitor every home and say, oh, it looks like you have a leak. So that is something when people, it's your responsibility to kind of make sure that your plumbing is working properly. Repairs within the home, that's your plumbing, making sure those are taken care of. The repairs from the street to the at the shutoff valve, there's like a round circle that you sometimes see in sidewalks or in your yard. That's your shutoff valve. From that to the house is actually, and into your home, that is the homeowner's responsibility. And then any potential cross connections. I think it's important to point out so that's, we went through the responsibilities of the homeowner, but offerings that we can help with these things. We do have leak detection packets available. So if you think you have a leak, sometimes you have a high water bill and you see your sink running and you go, oh, I have a leak. Toilets are a little bit more difficult because they might run intermittently and you don't necessarily see it or hear it. So we have leak detection packets up here. So if you think you have a leak, we have a whole packet up here and directions on how you can basically troubleshoot if you do have a leak. So that helps with troubleshooting. We do offer deduct meters, and we also offer sprinkler meters so that you don't have to pay for the sewage portion of that water usage. And then the other thing is, people always say, I got my bill and I didn't get a chance to pay for it. We do offer auto payments and paperless billing. So if that is something that you like, please contact us and we'll sign you up. Going into billing and meters, the township does send monthly water and sewer bills out. Some other communities do quarterly, but we have been doing monthly since before I came to the township. So that has been for over 20 years. We do have on our bill, we do have what's called a ready-to-serve fee as well as a usage fee, and I will show you some of that on the next slide. The back of our bill tells you about our different payment options. It has information regarding sanitary sewer backups and overflow, and then we also have our after-hours contact number. And last but least, in the front of the bill, we do have a section for our township special notifications. There we will put different things. This conversation today was put on the last set of water bill. When we go to do the water quality report, that will be put on the water bill. Here is your typical water and sewer bill. You'll notice I have a couple arrows. We'll start with the auto bill. Billing is active. The next chart is our residents' usage graph, and that shows you a year's worth of usage. It's very similar to the gas and electric bills that have that. We added that a couple years ago. The bottom, the big box, that's where all your information is. The first line is water, which is the usage. That's what the water that goes through your meter. So in this case, this person used 2 units of water. Right next to the 2 units, it has an A. That means your meter was working. A is actual reading. If you see an E on that, that means that it's an estimated read. And we look at, basically the computer program that we use looks at previous reads and estimates it, which means your meter isn't working. So if you see an E, contact us so we can figure out what's going on and figure out what's going on with your meter. The next line is your sewer. Now sewer is based on your water. We don't have a meter on your sewer, so if you use 2 units of water, we assume 2 units of sewer goes down the toilet or the shower or whatever you're using. That's where if you have an irrigation system, sometimes a deduct meter is worth using because the water that goes on your lawn for watering obviously doesn't go into the sewer, so those numbers would be different. You might see the water use of a 7 and the sewer use of 2 or 5. And that's because we deduct what went in the yard. Then your next 2 lines is your ready to serve sewer and your ready to serve water. Those 2 lines has to do with being, just like it says, ready to serve. That handles and helps pay for half of our staff and the projects that everyone rolls their eyes when they get stuck in construction on, but a much needed construction projects. And so those are to keep the water system up and running, the sewer system up and running, and that's your ready to serve fee. And that is a set fee based on your meter size. Most people have a 5/8 inch meter or a 1 inch, but Mr. Gilliam will tell you his house has a bigger meter, so he doesn't ever like to see our water rates increase. And then the very last line item is actually our refuse. Priority Waste bills us, we bill you, is how that works. Other communities, Priority Waste will bill them directly, and you have basically you're paying priority. In our case, we do that for you and manage that system for you. So if you're having a problem with priority, contact us so that we can make sure that it's being addressed.
This is more so in ways to read your meters So if we get estimates and we know that the meter or the reading device isn't working properly, we'll try to get a hold of the homeowner and come and put, we have a system, so the green would be the first is, hey, we're trying to get a hold of you. And then typically we do another green card, we're trying to get a hold of you again. And then a pink card is a little bit more serious where it has more repercussions. But that's our typical ways if we're not getting reads or if we need to get a hold of a homeowner with a meter issue. The yellow cards is Clinton Township's been in for the last roughly 10 years, a meter replacement program. We have 30,000 accounts, so we eventually have to get to 30,000 meters to be changed out. And that's what the yellow card means. So if you get one of those, we're trying to change out your meter, and that goes to the next 2 slides over here, 2 pictures. Early on in the meter change-out program, we were using digital readouts. With technology, the Pro Coder is the top one, came out a couple years ago, and it does the same thing. It takes the same technological readings, but now it goes back to the analog dial that most people with older meters are used to, where if the water's moving, the bottom hand, the sweep is moving, and then the units are registered on the top ones.
Okay, so here's a little trivia, drinking water trivia. How much does 250 cases of bottled water cost? So 250 cases of water cost $7.42.50. And I'll tell you, I use the Meijer or Kroger on sale, $2.99 a case. So I was bargain shopping for you to get this number, okay? 1 unit of township water. So when we were back on that bill and we said that person used 2 units, they used 500 cases of water because 1 unit of water equals 250 cases of water approximately. Okay, using Clinton Township's water rates, that would have cost you $11.64. Okay, part 2. What happens to water after we use it? It goes to the sanitary sewer. The sanitary sewer, so in Clinton Township, we are on what's called a separated system. A separated system means you have a sanitary system and you have a storm system. Sanitary systems carry your toilet water, your shower water, your laundry, all of the things that go down, and it has, I'm going to call it dirty water, okay? Your storm water system, sewer system, is basically that, storms, so rainwater. It's what you see in the streets, the catch basins in the streets, but it's to pick up rainwater and water that comes from the sky. Real quick, the sanitary sewer is taken away from your property. It is typically located near the street. Usually between the street and like the sidewalk in that area. The pipes lead to a treatment plant, and the township sends their sewer to what's called the MID, which is the Macomb Interceptor Drainage District. Several of you probably remember the sinkhole back. That's part of the MID, and our Clinton Township sewage goes there, but we also send some of our sewage to the Mount Clemens treatment plant. This slide is really important though, because the main, which is the big pipe that's located underneath that car, is our responsibility. Where the sewer lead taps the main, all the way back to the house, is the resident's responsibility.
I think that's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about to come, and how intricate the systems are too. Because there's homeowner responsibilities and there's our responsibilities. And one of the things that is coming to my mind is when we're talking about if it goes to the MID or if it goes to Mount Clemens. Clinton Township is unique with the river and the 3 different branches. So a lot of our system has ups, has downs. Some of the reasons why the water goes to, or sanitary water goes to Mount Clemens is based on geography, right? And so the water geography that's fed from Mount Clemens is a little different than the sanitary. Some of the areas that gets water from Mount Clemens actually goes to the MID system, and some of the ones that gets water through Clinton Township actually goes to Mount Clemens. So it's kind of interesting to me. But we thought that this would be the best way because it also encapsulates how Clinton Township runs. Most of your sewer is gravity fed, so it goes from a higher portion to a lower portion. And with our rivers, we have to get it back up to a certain height to keep it going to the mid or Mount Clemens, depending on where it goes. Clinton Township has 13 lift stations that we operate. People don't really see that part of our operation because most of the time your sewage goes away with no problems and people aren't affected. So that's one of the things that out of sight, out of mind, as Mary said. But we do take our pride on these 13 pump stations because it takes a lot of work to keep them running and a lot of maintenance.
I'm sure hardly anybody's ever looked inside the pipe. So what we wanted to show here is this first picture is the pipe that the camera is in. So we're sitting in a pipe and we look, and what we're looking at right there is called a lateral offset. So this would be, if this was your home, your lead is offset. So it's not going in. What you want to see is more like the second one where it's a complete circle and you're coming right into our pipe. So the first one is the offset, and then the second one was fixing that offset so that the pipe comes right in. If you're looking now at your sewer lead, and so you see how round that is? So that's good. That means it's connected properly to our pipe. However, you see all those little hairy things? Those are tree roots. And then the next one would be how if you catch it early enough, you're able to line that sewer lead. And so you see how, that is a pipe going in and it's all smooth. That's what that sewer lead looks like once it's fixed. And you cut out all of the roots. Okay, flushing etiquette, my favorite part of the story. What not to flush and what to flush. What you flush is toilet paper, pee, and poop. The 3 P's. Paper, pee, and poop. There is this product, and in fact, if I could have 2 volunteers, this would be great. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but you are going to have to come up. 2 volunteers. Okay, yay. 1. And I've got a second. Perfect. So I'm going to hand this to you. Can you read out loud what that says?
Uh-oh. Flushable, that's a lie.
Oh, I like her. Flushable wipes. And what is this, young man?
This is TP.
This is TP. Okay. We're going to open these jars. I'm going to hand you this. We're going to open these jars. You're going to put a wipe in this, and you're going to put toilet paper in that. Make sure it gets in there, because we're really putting it in the toilet. Okay. Put the lids back on. Joe, make sure it's tight so that no one gets it all over them. Okay, now you're going to hand this back to me, and you're going to shake this. Turn around so the camera can see you, too. And we're going to keep shaking. How's the toilet paper doing?
It's breaking down.
It's breaking down. How's that wipe doing? Nothing.
It's still there.
So they advertise that they're flushable, but, okay? And I've done this experiment a couple times. In fact, I did it on July 11th, 2014. This is the toilet paper one from 2014. Okay? This is the wipe one. And if you look, you can still see the wipe. So please don't put wipes down the toilet. Why is that important? Because they clog the pipes. But also those pump stations that we were talking about, the 13 pump stations, those have fans or they have, and they get caught on the impellers basically. And that causes them to stop working, which then in turn causes problems in people's homes. And here is some of the aftermath. These are all sewers or stuff that came out of Clinton Township. So one of your neighbors put that beautiful toy in the sewer, and we were able to find it. We didn't find who it came from. We didn't return it, though. This is the fatberg that Candace Miller's office has talked about quite a bit. This is those rags, the flushable wipes, stuck on one of our pumps and having a problem. The next thing is our kitchen sink etiquette. What to wash down, what not to. Soap, water, yay. Everything else, pretty much no. Yes, you have a garbage disposal. It's better, but even then, stuff gets stuck and causes problems. One of the biggest things that we have found is straws. Believe it or not, a lot of restaurants, when you have your drink, they take it to the back and they just dump it in the sink so they can throw the glass in the dishwasher, and those straws go down our sewer. And so they cause a major problem. And here's some of the aftermath from the stuff that goes down kitchen sinks. So here's some of your homeowner's responsibility. The sewer line, the service line, your lead is your responsibility. Like I said earlier, the tap to the structure, to your building is your responsibility. If
you have a backup that is you're being affected by, a plug or whatever, and you have a concern that it might be our line or your line, we will come out right away and check our line to make sure that it's not anything that is happening that we could control before you go out. And then we typically talk to the homeowner and say, talk to 3 plumbers. But we will always come out if you're experiencing a backup to make sure it's not anything on our line. Mary glossed over real quick because we were trying to go through the etiquette. One of the big things was grease too. We didn't really touch base on that, but grease, food oils and grease, right? No, fats, oils, and grease. Fats, oils, and grease. Yes. A lot of people think the restaurants are the biggest culprits, but homeowners also can put that down. And what happens is, typically the grease or the oils will be liquid, but by the time they cool down and get into the sanitary main or even your main, they harden and cause problems with the homeowners and ours. So it's not just we're saying this because we don't want the maintenance on our end. It's also yours. Yours too. If there's roots or a belly or offset in your line, that's where it's going to get caught up and cause the homeowner problems as well. So,
upcoming projects. These are some projects that have been completed, and these are some of the projects that are coming up in the following year. I do want to mention, though, in the sanitary sewer projects, the top one is our sanitary sewer lead pilot program, and that is a program that we receive congressional direct spending on, and it's to help the property owners do fix their sanitary sewer leads. It is for homes that are older than 1974. Because the type of pipe is called vitrified clay pipe that's typically used in those. They're kind of, for lack of better words, like a terracotta pot. And so they crack very easily with tree roots and so forth. So you have to your house has to be older than 1974. You have to have a vitrified clay pipe, and then you have to income qualify. Our phase 1 we're doing right now, beginning of April, we're gonna start phase 2. If you have questions or you think you might qualify, call us and we will help you go through the process. It costs nothing to apply. It's no commitment. If you do qualify, you might get 50% of that expensive payment project paid for, or you could get 100%. So it's worth the time and it doesn't cost you anything, and it could save you money. Okay. I'm going to give you a quick preview of the next presentation, Public Works. The Public Works side of the department, typically this time of year, these are our biggest things we hear about is compost. When does composting start? Lawn mowing. Why isn't our neighbors mowing their lawn yet? Spring flooding. I know there's quite a few people concerned with that. And then tree branching. Here is our contact information. That after hours utility, the emergency number, that's the non-emergency dispatch number. So if you can't find your water bill, because that's on the back of the water bill, or you didn't write this down, that is the non-emergency. You go right to dispatch. But I will tell you, it sounds like, now they're going to take hours. They call our on-duty guy, and he gets out there as soon as possible. We have someone that's on duty 24/7. So don't hesitate to call, and we can get out there and look. And I think that is it.
There was mention of water rates between municipalities. So as the former treasurer, I got a lot of phone calls to say, how come the water rates are so much higher here in Clinton Township? They weren't as high in Sterling Heights. not all communities are the same. Clinton Township is a mostly residential community. So that means the money coming in to pay for the things that we provide in terms of services comes from our residents and the commercial properties that we have, mostly retail, strip malls, those types of things. We're the third largest community in Macomb County. Warren and Sterling Heights are larger than us. However, they have an industrial corridor from Van Dyke to Mound Road almost the entire length of their towns. And that means that's money that's coming into their communities that they don't have to do a thing for. Very little services have to be provided to those big auto plants.
Just keeping the
and
pressure
industrial
up.
users. Yep, keeping the pressure up. So more people means more services. However, when you have that industrial money coming in, that tax base, Warren is triple us, Sterling Heights is double. So that means what we do with the revenue sharing dollars that come in, the direct tax revenue that comes in from your bills that goes to the township, and the water and sewer rates that we pay. And so they charge their industrial users a lot more. Plus, because we have all three branches of the Clinton River within our community meeting here before they make their trek out through Harrison Township and the spillway and out to Lake St. Clair, we have an additional responsibility to make sure that those overflow pumps never turn on. And we've spent $34 million, I should say, we all have paid that $34 million to maintain that system, increase capacity to meet that environmental responsibility. One more thing I want to mention, and that is asset management. These repairs are on schedules, and what we are trying to do more so now than I think we've ever done is when we work with the county to do a road, we want to accelerate the replacement of the water line at the same time so that those projects are done at the same time. We're tearing it up once, not twice. And then it's far more efficient.
I am currently on the Mount Clemens water system. Are there any plans to change how I receive my water?
So the Mount Clemens water treatment plant is actually going to be coming offline. They are going to be joining the same Great Lakes Water Authority. So when that happens, you'll be getting the same water as the rest of Clinton Township. We are looking at studies of how can we make our system, meaning to your neighborhoods, more redundant. We do have some ideas, but we have to kind of weigh it all out at this point.
Redundant, why is redundant important?
So in a water system, you want what we call a looped system. So that if you do get a water main break, you might have to have a house or two without water, but the goal is never to have that many. So redundant in looping means that you can get water from two different directions. So your street might be this way, and this street's this way, and there's a street across. We'll connect those so that if the water main happens here, water can come this way or water can come this way. So you kind of having water, being a pressurized system, the water will find its way to the home, and only where you have to turn the valves down would those people be without water. So in yours, we're looking at the redundancy of that whole neighborhood and seeing how we can help with that. But the good thing is it will be on Great Lakes Water Authority probably in the next couple years.
I have noticed blue marker flags placed around the 15-mile area. What are those marking?
In Clinton Township, if you see a blue flag, I would say 99% of the time that is us. We do have other purveyors of water like GLWA that has water lines, and they are required to mark their lines too. They use blue. So if you have a blue flag that says Clinton Township, we came and marked that line for Miss Dig.
How do I know if I have a continuous water leak or an intermittent water leak?
The easy answer is intermittent is there's 15-minute cycles that these meters read. So if water is running through it or measured in a certain amount of those 15 minutes, if it's higher, it's considered continuous. If it's lower than that set point, it's intermittent, as opposed to running every whatever, but it reads every 15 minutes potentially.
And so it's looking at a bunch of 15 minutes in a row.
Yes.
And if your toilets have tanks, drop a couple drops of food coloring in the tank.
Yeah.
And if it leaks down into the basin, then you know. Thank you everyone for coming. Appreciate it. Big hand for Mary and Joe. Thanks.